welcome to episode 2 of SSB Wannabes. My name is JD.
My name's Wassabi.
And we have a lot of interesting things to talk about on the eve of Ultimate coming out. We have a lot of things we're excited about with that, of course, but there are a couple particular topics we're going to go over today, namely content in the Ultimate era and a new tournament we're really excited about. So I'm just going to hop into my review of my last week, which, to give it a quick rating, I'm going to give it about a 7. It was good to practice again. It was good to get into some content I've been wanting to work on. There was a time where I was working on some stuff and it didn't go exactly the way I wanted it to go, so I had to ditch that. But overall, I set goals for myself. I feel like I kind of matched them to the best of my ability. I've been working on some habits, and I think it was pretty good. How was your week?
My week was pretty good. Like, I think if I had to rate it, it would be like a solid 7. It wasn't like definitely how I wanted it to go, but you know how like sometimes it's just like you get what you need, not necessarily what you want.
Sure.
But I'm pretty happy with how this week went. Overall, except for obviously, I went to Fireside Open in New Jersey, and over there, I unfortunately drowned in pools. I lost to 2 NJ hidden bosses, Miffy, this Puff player, and JC, and definitely was really disappointed at the time.
Right, because they were upsets. They were. I would put them as upsets myself.
Yeah, they were upsets, and I definitely want to give them props for it. Like, they definitely earned it, but definitely I definitely thought I was playing a little off, something felt off, and maybe it was not being as tournament ready as I thought I was in terms of just the mental preparedness for the tournament, and also having the crowd behind me and everyone being and rooting for obviously their boy, and I guess I go to Nebs a lot and all of that stuff, so a lot of it are just homies. So it's really interesting to have the crowd against me, and that definitely I felt threw me off. It was really interesting because I would occasionally hear oh, he's playing Wassabi right now. Oh, he's playing Wassabi, and I'm just all right, I guess that's happening now. And so I definitely thought that threw me off, but it was definitely a good experience. I mean, has that ever happened with you? Because mostly yeah,
100%, man. I'm a huge proponent of either headphones or even earplugs now. Where I know music could be distracting for some people, but I think having nothing in your ears takes a lot of mental strength. So I'm assuming you didn't have anything like that?
Yeah, no, I didn't have anything like that, and normally I don't play with any music or anything, but after that I have been debating on possibly doing that, trying to get maybe the audio setup so I can still listen to the in-game stuff while playing.
Right. I think that's top tier.
Yeah, I know. And so maybe that's definitely one of the things I want to experiment with, because I definitely found myself losing focus and just not being fully in the match at times. But obviously, congrats to the 2 people that upset me and
Right.
everything like that.
All right, I think you're really good about giving credit, but it's important to notice, things that you're doing that you could do better.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I just don't want to shit on them or discredit them anything, because getting an upset is hard and everything. But it still was it made me think a lot about the game and how I approach it and what I need to improve on, and also why it happened and stuff like that. And I think part of it was a mix of how I've been playing recently and in terms of what I've been doing, and then also parts of it are also stuff that we're doing the week since we last talked. So since we last talked, I know it wasn't part of my goals, but I started working out about 3 times a week, and I started putting more effort into cooking for myself, because 1, it's better for you, and 2, it saves money. So I've been putting a lot of effort in that, and I think maybe that took a lot of effort. That was ended up being my main focus for the week, in the moment. But I definitely wanted to experiment, try some stuff out. So I went for a long run right before the night before the tournament. I went for a long run, stuff like that. to just try to see if like maybe that would help or anything like that. Because ever since Nebs ended, like it's been hard to like feel like really used to tournament. You know, I mean, like you've had Smash Out, but I guess I haven't been going to that as much.
No, that makes a lot of sense, man. I think you're on the right track. I'm obviously very involved with my day job is a e-commerce site that has a lot of media and stuff like that based on healthy eating, and that's kind of one of the main messages. So I'm a shill for this type of stuff. And whenever you bring that up, I'm gonna, get excited and want to talk about it. But you're really onto something with running and all this stuff. And I think what makes sense is that it was a recent change, and that kind of gives that little valley before the peak type situation where it's gonna throw some things off since it's not necessarily your habit.
Yeah, exactly. And like I realized maybe I just tried to incorporate so many new things like at once, you know? And also like, and I maybe tried to do it because I wanted to try to be more tournament ready, or like at least like feel better in tournament, just because I haven't been going to a lot of tournaments, and mostly I've been doing like fests at my place and stuff like that. But like obviously like after like the whole tournament, I realized like that's sort of, like playing in my fest and stuff like is great to like work on stuff and everything, but it just doesn't have the same pressure as going to tournaments. So I think one of the new things I'm gonna start doing is like, even though like before I was like, because we both work and everything, you have to kind of be a little picky with your time, right?
Yeah.
And but I've always had this weird feeling where I haven't been able to like gain any momentum from like tournament to tournament to tournament, right? And I think I just need to start going to any tournament, and like I can't be picky about it. Like I don't like going like I'm really happy that NYU hosts like their free Thursday tournaments and everything like that. But when it's like, like maybe like 6 TVs and they have like maybe like 40 people, it runs really long. And also there's not a lot of players, I would say, like not a lot of like the quintessential like New York players come out to it as much.
Right.
And so like normally I'll spend the time like maybe like hosting my own fest or like having someone over just for a little more like purposeful like practice to get like more games in, because it's also a lot of waiting. But I think starting tomorrow I'm gonna try to go to that probably every week, just so that I can like kind of be ready for tournament when like the tournament that matters comes up, like Fireside, or if I go to an Aeon or a Super Smashed Out or something like that.
Yeah.
Just so that I have like a little more momentum to like work off of.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if there's any way to kind of supplement tournaments without actually going to tournaments, because there's a certain thing that you touched on it, and it's that difference between a fest and a tournament, and difference between a tournament and solo practice, that it's an intangible type of pressure that is hard to replicate in a day-to-day situation. And I think it's kind of what gives us the rush. It's a lot of charm in that, but it's also a lot of difficulty, right? So how do we practice that skill outside of actually going to tournaments? Because even though we want to be less picky with our time, there's going to be a point where you still have to be picky with your time. And I know your schedules sometimes can get a little extended with work, and sometimes you don't have as much control over certain days as others. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're completely right.
Right. So that is going to be hard to completely maintain. I think that's one of the main issues me and you have, or other people in our situation that are trying to pursue this Smash career and still get good tournament results. How do we actually get to these locals if they're not easily accessible or easily fit into our schedule? I don't necessarily have an answer. I mean, you could solo practice, and that's for the technicality, and that's to keep ourselves kind of warm. But how do we keep ourselves, I guess, sharp? How do we keep ourselves in that tournament mindset?
Yeah, and I think it's really hard, and I think it depends on some people. Like the closest thing that came to mind for me is like obviously like ranked net play or like melee ladder and Anthers ladder and stuff like that. But even then, like I think it depends on the person.
Yeah.
and it's really whether you can like simulate that in your head and like sort of replicate, because really what we're trying to do is replicate the pressure of like being in a very competitive environment where your moves matter, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it like even if it's like a friendly and you do like kind of like a best of 5 or like best of 3 or whatever, like it's not the same. And like I think for me personally, which is why I want to like try this new method, is because like I'm so comfortable like in my own space, or like in my own space, or even in nebs, or in like nebs or smash corner and stuff like that, like because everyone, it's kind of your like home tournament, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like you feel so comfortable there. And like for me, like I'm playing melee, if I play melee like in my room and stuff like that, like you're in PJs, you're in like a nice, it's different than like going to like sort of like semi uncharted territory where it's like it's not the place that you would say is like the most comfortable, right?
Yeah. And I have two things to say to that. One is that's what we see with net play people all the time when they start going to their first tournaments, is that they have a huge drop off in skill. That happens time and time and time again, where if you are a net play god, there's still a different set of skills you need for tournament. And that's kind of an undertone, like that's almost just obvious for me and you, but it's important for everyone to know that. Number two is my own experience, where when me and Chess went on that trip last year, by the end of it, even though I was getting burnt out, I was, after playing so many people in such a short period of time, I was playing the best melee I've ever played in my life. Mm-hmm. And it was entirely because I was out of my element every single day, and that was giving me this kind of supercharged, like I was so past the point of tournament nerves, and I was in this new territory of gameplay that and then I hit different challenges because obviously I'm only so capable. Mm-hmm. But having that, time after time, different tournament every day, different people all the time, it was just like this supercharged, like I felt like Mario on a star. It was crazy. So yeah, you're totally onto something, and it's hard to replicate that. I mean, we see Bobby Big Balls, right? He's a great person to talk about because he is famous for driving 4 hours to a Tennessee tournament or something outrageous like that. And he drove solo, he just went for it. But that type of stuff is kind of what's so important. And I guess the middle ground of that is getting net play with different people, which is, obviously very important. That's how IBDW got good, but still maintaining that tournament nerves of steel and cultivating those two different, because if you go to the local every day, like you were or every week, like you just mentioned, there's a comfortness in that, and that doesn't cover all your bases. It's a really tough question, and it's really important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think it's different for everyone, right? And it's like it's also about like as you get more practice and as you learn yourself more in the game, you can do it with less and less things, right? Like you see like a lot of players, like they can go from like I've seen DJ go from like sleeping on beanbags at Aeon to like 3-0ing, like whatever Long Island guy there is, right?
He's big into naps, that guy.
Yeah, I know, but like I think like once you understand what works for you, you can like you can zone in, kind of get your focus like set really quickly. And I think I'm not at that point yet, and I need to like experiment to see like what works. Like, is it like doing some sort of like run the night before, or like breathing exercises right before like a match, or like something like that, right?
Yeah, and there's some universal good. Like I think more exercise, eating better. I don't know who in the long term, after making that your day to day, I don't know who that would be a detriment to. So definitely, I'm definitely supportive. Plus, if you need any goodies, just DM me on Vigor Path Instagram. I'm sure the social media manager there would be very interested in your life's journey. Just a hunch.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I'm doing that a lot. I think I want to like start having. I think my problem is like being feeling like it's not being ready for a tournament, but feeling right. It's more of a mental thing, right?
Yeah.
Feeling ready for it.
Confidence.
Yeah, and so I think I need a little momentum, so that's why I'm gonna go. And I think I want to like try to start having like pre-ritual like ways I consistently prep for like a tournament, right? And so
Yeah.
I think I'm going to be working on that a lot lately with like both like mindful exercises like meditation, obviously eating healthy to keep my energy level up, like working out to have like more energy and kind of like maybe like just think less because I can't tend to get into my own head a lot of the time, even like beforehand. And so I think like doing stuff that like will just kind of like refocus me to like, all right, you're just doing this right now. You know, it's not the tournament yet.
Right.
Is like really important. And so like that's I guess what I learned from like this me busting out at Fireside. And like those are like the main things I want to change. But then like I also learned like a lot of like interesting like tidbits like that I still haven't like is necessarily like found answers for, which like I don't know if you have this with you, but like the two things I noticed is like one, like I really try to look for the answers too quickly, and like it's because I'm like so earnest and I want to change, but sometimes like I don't give myself time to like really like sort of like let it sit and let it sort of like not fester but like digest digest would be the right word.
Yeah.
To sort of like let the situation digest. Like I'm always being like, okay, like what do I need to do now? What do I need to do now? Like, oh, this happened. Like I need to find an answer for it. And like I learned that I'm very uncomfortable with like just letting like my thoughts sort of like digest without like trying to find like an immediate answer.
Can I suggest something?
Yeah, go for it.
I was going to mention this. This ties into like how everyone has their thing that works for them and helps them do better in tournament. But my thing that I notice everything gets better when I journal, and when I'm journaling consistently, it kind of gets all this crap out of my head, and I get to start exploring either new ideas or just I'm a little more still, more comfortable with moments you just realize where I don't know the answer right away. So I just kind of try how does this look when I write it down and look back into it? Does it look right? And often it doesn't look right. And even more often than that, I don't find any solutions. Mm-hmm. But especially when it comes to competing, I notice that when I journal, I do a little bit better, or I'm just generally happier with my performance. Even if I don't, pick up a win or do anything like that, I've noticed that it's helped me. So that might help you.
Yeah, I've been thinking about. Funny you mentioned that because I've been thinking about it recently. Mm-hmm. And I think one of the reasons what I've been thinking about, I think I might need to just journal more in general. But what started me to get the idea was really sort of both journaling for like establishing like the goals I want to do for like the day in regards to like melee or in regards to life, but also like sort of like having sort of like a gratitude journaling session. So like because I noticed that like it's not mad that I wasn't mad that I like lost to someone, but I was mad at the play that eventually made me lose to someone and stuff like that. Do you
remember what was the play? Is it specific?
No, I mean like just my general like play and decision making is sort of what I mean. So I'm talking more like broadly.
Okay. I was hoping for a really wonky rest setup or something.
No, nothing like that. Just unfortunate, like not as focused, poor decision making, really. Gotcha. But I think I expect like a lot out of myself, and it really helps in terms of like practicing, right? And it's really helping like in terms of like making sure I hold myself accountable to like a high standard of practice and training. But I think the double-edged sword of that is sort of like the lack of forgiveness in the moment in tournament.
Man, I feel that so hard.
Yeah. Whew. So I was because I have to find answers to this, right? So
right away.
I came right away. So I watched a lot of Mind Games. Weldon, so he's like this he's a sports psychologist, but he ended up becoming like an esports psychologist, mainly for Dota and like League of Legends teams.
Sweet.
He works with like TSM and like CLG. I think he's now with CLG, but he has a ton of free like YouTube videos. It's called Mind Games Weldon, and and so I've been looking into that, and he does mindfulness exercises. He has like he does a ton of Q&A. So I think you should look at his videos because it's like just really interesting to see all the topics that he covers.
Definitely.
But one of the things I got was like, or two things I got was like the idea of like having just a gratitude journal, and it seems a little corny. Like I thought it was corny at first, but I definitely really want to do my best to like try it out, just because I think I forget to be like grateful for what I'm doing in tournament because I expect so much, right? And it's a little bit like we both watch Gary Vee, and it's about gratitude, right? Mm-hmm. And like when in tournament, like that's an important aspect to like both hold yourself to a high standard, but like be happy with like what you can do already, and like not taking it for granted.
Yeah, and it's a self-love type thing too, where you deserve praise, and no one really gets the praise they really deserve, even if they're the best person ever. There's this kind of ability that people, and this is a very generalized thing, this isn't a Melee specific thing.
Yeah, of course.
But people who are striving for a goal will often look more at their shortcomings than their successes. And mm-hmm. even if you're if you have 100,000 followers on Twitter, and 99% of them are saying good things, there's a tendency for people to look at the 1%. And that goes the same for if we have no followers, and we're just thinking of our own day. It's really important. And I can't even cite where I've heard this, because everything that I've consumed up to this point, self-help across the board, is about positivity and self-love. So I think that there's nothing to be ashamed of with a gratitude journal. I've done it once or twice, and it just kind of boosted me up in such a significant way. Like the times that I did it, I should probably get back into it, honestly. But yeah, I'm glad that you're considering it, and I think it might be something that really gets you to where you want to go in Smash.
Yeah, especially because like I think the difference between me now and like before, like maybe like 6 months ago or something like that, is that I am holding myself, like I think it's good that I'm holding myself more accountable to how I want to play, and like to be more focused, and I'm demanding more of myself. But I need something to counterbalance that, because beforehand it was less planned and more like, let's see if I'll play well today, or something like that. And like while still like practicing a lot, obviously. Yeah. But I think now that it's like a little more structured, I need something to like balance out that side of it,
Yeah, and it's tough because you see successful Smash players that give themselves a really hard time, and you're like, wow, is that all it takes to get good? Like, do I just need to be so tough on myself that I just accept nothing but greatness and success? And I think the answer is a resounding no, but it took me a while to really come to terms with that sustainability and mental health can be something that going alongside a happy or successful Smash career. I mean, neither one of us are really in the place to suggest what it takes to be a pro Melee player. I mean, I think that's obvious, but right now, I think I really enjoying hearing you go through this, because if there was one thing I thought about you, is that you were really determined. And I'm glad that, one, that you truly are determined, but two, is that you're recognizing that that's not an infallible way to live your life, and that there is a counterbalance that needs to happen. So I'm really curious to see where you end up on the spectrum, how you develop from there, and I want to keep hearing about it.
Yeah, no, I mean, so it's a lot of new things again this week, so we'll obviously just keep track of it and stuff. But I'm really excited because I think like, again, like, as I think the mentality I had before was sort of like, like, oh, like I could just keep working on it and stuff like that. But like, I think with the Drug Fox lessons also pointing out what I need to work on, like, so much more specifically, I think that's also a factor into it, and it's knowing your flaws to like so much more now is also like, and like, again, counterbalancing that. So I think it's like a lot of good, but it's just so much of how I approach the game now is different, where I'm looking at so many more micro interactions and so many so much more interactions that like no, I want to play each interaction well.
Right.
And obviously, only the best of the best can like do that to like 80-90%. I don't even know what percent, but the highest percent, I guess. But like it has to start somewhere, and so I acknowledge that like I think I'm on the right track, but I think that there are flaws in the approach in itself.
Right. So we got to take a break. But when we get back, we'll talk about the new Smash Corner and content in the Ultimate era. So stick around.
Sounds good. All right, welcome back, guys, to the SSB Wannabes podcast. So going into, we talked about our weeks already, but, kind of looking ahead, one thing I just had to like mention was, Jesse, you've heard about it. It's the new Smash Corner. Like, I don't know if it's like, it's not weekly. Maybe it's a monthly or a bi-weekly.
Bi-weekly, baby.
It's a bi-weekly? Okay, let's go. So the reason why I'm so excited about it, and like, we'll hear Jesse's part, is that one, Nebs, just there hasn't been a lot, and there's so much history and like so much hype regarding the Smash Corner. Like it hosts, Jesse, right? It like hosted Justice 4. Like remember Justice 4 with like Hacks and Armada. Like it hosted like bi-weeklies on Wednesdays, which like was really, really stacked. Like
yeah, dude,
like, I remember
it had like 60 people on the reg.
Yeah, and like we're talking like Flex, IBDW, Beerman, Whisker, Smuckers, Smokey, you, me, Big Kid, like all in one tournament, right? It was sort of like a Nebs away from home, right? But Nico or Ryo Beats kind of taking lead to that, so I kind of just wanted to like say thanks, for like kind of bring that up, because I haven't been excited for like a tournament in a long time, because Smash Out is great, but it's on a Monday. Long Island's mad far to get to if you don't have a car, and as you know, everyone in New York doesn't have a car, so apologizing for all New York players that can't travel to any other regional place. We don't have a car, so we can't do it. So Smash Corner is like by far like the best thing to happen, I think.
Yeah, accessible by train.
Yeah, it's like 30 minutes, and the train is like relatively cheap, like $10.
That's really important, especially in the past couple years. There's been a bit of a decline of the Melee local, where people are kind of substituting. It takes a whole day to go to a tournament. If it's after work, then sometimes you're just staying up late. If you're making it far in bracket, getting home at 1. That's the case for me on my locals. So having a bi-weekly tournament like Smash Corner, it was this congregation of players that felt a little more special than a weekly. And I think that's a sweet spot that every scene has to find on their own. Some scenes, like North Carolina, they have weeklies that get like 40-50 people, but they have one weekly. Stuff like that, where that works for them. They have everyone show up. That's just what's decided. Okay, we're going to this tournament at this day. I'm a little outdated. I think there's been some changes in tournaments there, but it's just an example, so I don't really care if it's accurate. Essentially, Smash Corner was such a great place for people to prove themselves, and that's the most important part of a local, is not having stagnation, having the ability to show up and say, okay, if I go 3-2 today, then I know I did well, because this tournament is hard and I have a thing that's achievable that I can feel proud of myself. But when it's like 18 people and these guys are just troopers showing up going 0-2, 0-2, 0-2, it becomes disheartening, and slowly but surely those scenes die. So I have high hopes for Smash Corner. It has a legendary name. It's in a good spot. Nico is
let's just say he knows his way around social media, so he's going to be in people's face about this event, and that's a great thing for a TO to have.
Yeah. And he used to TO too. He was part of the Nebs team, and he was the social media manager for Nebs. So like
Yeah.
that's, you know, it's gonna be good. And single starts at 2:30, which means we'll probably be out by like 10, 11, and then we can bool.
Bool up, baby.
Yeah.
Clarkstown Corner. I'm excited. I always loved poring over those brackets. I'm a bracket fiend. I love reading brackets of locals, and Smash Corner just always felt like the juiciest because you never know who is going to show up and who's going to put up. You know.
Yeah, and it was so stacked, right? Like
Yeah.
it had like everyone, Connecticut, New York, Flex representing New Jersey, like really the only New Jersey guy to come out. But like, when your tournament consists of like Hacks, Moon, DJ, Slox, Lin, Vortex, Flex,
with no stream. Also, that's the
no stream.
part.
Yeah, it just made for a really crazy bracket where like a lot of matches like just meant more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the no stream thing that kind of segues into another thing I wanted to talk about. Where I think that's so essential now, and it's an obvious thing to say, like, oh yeah, everyone's got to have a stream, but let's look at what makes a community past just a game, right? So it's friendships being made, it's the majors, and it's the ability for people to kind of stay in tune with their game and to enjoy things. Really, it comes down to content. In a lot of ways. So obviously Ultimate's coming out. There's been some pre-release content, but realistically that's not, it's all kind of just fluff. People are trying to make like, oh, who's the best player? There's all this content out there that's I think gonna kind of go away, and I'm really curious to see what's gonna stick around with Ultimate. I think it's gonna be a different ball game than any of these other Smash games in terms of really YouTube, Twitch, all this other stuff. And with Melee still kicking, I have a whole bunch of theories about how Melee is going to adapt to Ultimate coming out. And, realistically, if we're being completely honest, I have my own agenda here. I'm trying to be a content creator. I'm trying to start a career in esports media, right? So how do we, as content creators, look at this new game? How do we approach the media torrent that's going to come out, all the content that's going to come out, how Reddit appreciates the different stuff, how Twitter appreciates the different stuff, what makes good content? So many questions. I'm going to boil it down to one topic.
All right, yeah.
And let's go for it. That is, why is content in the Ultimate era important?
Interesting. Okay. Yeah.
You could share your piece.
Yeah. Just to interject for a little bit, I think like when we think of like the Ultimate era, I think we're thinking of like what comes to mind is like it's just such a larger audience, right? Like you as a content creator, like you have now access to so many people outside of like just fighting games and just Melee, right? It's because it's so much more, because so many people are talking about Ultimate. Like people, like I ran into an old friend and he just knows I play Melee, so he just asked like, oh, are you excited for Ultimate? Like it's like so much in people's minds, and Twitch is pretty much mainstream at this point. Like people know of Ninja, people like pop stars like Drake play on it. Like everyone uses Twitch now. That I think like that's gonna be really important. But I think if you're thinking in the Ultimate era, like it's like from a competitor standpoint and from just a viewer standpoint, right? Because like you can gain so much notoriety by being just the practical task of Ultimate, right? Knowing the combos, knowing how the engine works and stuff like that, and you get so famous just off of that. But you could also just get famous from like just playing it for fun, like because it's people will just tune into it now, and like there's a story mode that people will probably watch. So I think it's so beneficial for so many different like streamers in so many different categories, right?
Yeah, I mean,
And
it's
like
gonna be a top streamed game
for a bit.
for a while. You know,
Yeah.
it's not gonna. I don't know if it'll hit #1 unless there's some big tournament and unless it really picks up.
But you'll see in the top 10.
Oh, for sure. And it's gonna be there for a bit. People are gonna be playing World of Light. You know, top streamers. You know, Ninja's probably gonna play it because he's shown his interest for Melee and Smash in general. So it's gonna have its time in the limelight. And in terms of sustainable content and what people are gonna want, I'm feeling that there's sort of this trend towards comedy, and I might be projecting my own desires on what people want, but you see it in Melee a little bit, and you see it in other esports where some person is just hitting the right chords, and that is what attracts people to the game. I think that is what my ultimate goal is, no pun intended. I think having some sort of real ultimate comedy is something that we didn't really see in Smash 4. I mean, there were some people that were doing sketches and they were doing, you know, funny videos and stuff like that, but there was nothing that really hit the mainstream of Smash in general. There's nothing that really united Melee players to the new Smash game in terms of comedy. And I'm going to be keeping an eye on that. I think a lot of people are going to pop up and start giving their takes on this new game. And I've high hopes for a lot of it. I don't know how particularly the bad Melee people are going to treat it, because they're going to have an uphill battle to climb. There's a lot of casual Melee players that might just switch to Ultimate, and, you know, power to them. Play whatever game you want, but are people still going to care about, you know, the skits or sketches, whatever you want to call them, of Smash Summit once Ultimate's out? Is that going to it's not going to land the same way? Is it going to be overtaken by some new guy coming in and saying, oh, okay, I love Smash Ultimate, and he's, you know, an established YouTube comedian? There's a lot of X factors here, and I think there's going to be it's going to be very tumultuous in the first couple months.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so just like kind of so I can get a better idea. Like, so we're talking like comedy sketches, right, for Ultimate?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, whatever comes out of it, either sketches or video, what are they called? Essays, just any sort of content that's giving it the comedic undertones. I think that's going to have an uprising. I think it's going to be one of the top genres of Ultimate, above that of, let's say, even, I mean, I think combo videos are always going to be big, highlights, stuff like that, but I think we're going to see this surge in Smash comedy. Also because there's a lot of people like me that are trying to make Smash content that's, you know, also in comedy. I should say Smash comedy, but those people are now older than they were when Smash 4 came out, and when Melee came out, and Brawl came out. And the older you get, the more skills you develop, and comedy is a very difficult thing to do when you're young. So I think that's kind of my main theory that I'm hoping is true, because it benefits me directly.
Of course. Yeah. No, that's definitely really interesting, and you have such a larger audience. I think what's going to be interesting is where people find their niche, right? So like for skets, it's like, oh, Melee player plays Ultimate, or oh, Smash 4 player meets Melee player in Ultimate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's so many different skits that you could have, and all the jokes are like, we don't know what jokes will happen in Ultimate right yet, right? Like you know, like there's the pop the bubble for like Puff, and like, or like, you know, the Bayonetta and like Diddy Kong jokes and stuff like that for Smash 4.
Yeah.
So it's going to be really interesting, like how the jokes change like as people learn the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I definitely see what you mean, and it's definitely really interesting.
I expect there to be a lot of competition, and I also expect there to be a lot of interest. I'm going to throw my hat into the ring. I'm going to try some stuff out, and I'm treating this podcast as kind of an open book from my perspective. So let's see where this path takes me, and if I could even keep up with some of these guys, because man, some of these YouTubers are putting out like 2-3 videos a week. Man, it's rough out here.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's gonna be churning out ultimate content, from streamers to YouTubers. So it's gonna be interesting what niche you'll find, and I'm sure we'll be talking about like what you have in mind, like as ultimate drops by next, on Friday.
Man, it's 2 days away. Oh, jeez.
I know, that's so crazy.
Well, that's great. I feel satisfied with this topic. It was something that's been bothering me a while. So thanks for hearing me ramble.
Oh, dude, no worries. I think it's like, especially as a content creator, it just has to be so exciting.
Yeah.
To like have this super large audience that's in with this super ubiquitous category, or it must be super exciting.
Yeah, because I mean, I just know that I just love Smash, right? So it just feels right. Like, okay, I'm trying to do this. Let's put 2 and 2 together and see if this even goes anywhere. So I'm pumped. I'm definitely pumped. Okay, speaking of pump, let's talk about someone who plays the character with a pump on its arm.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, time for our player shout-out of the week?
Yeah, all right. I'm going to give you the honors.
Yeah, so, we wanted to shout out the Swooper from New Jersey.
The Swooper!
Ba-ba-ba-da!
Are we ever going to not be awkward with this?
No, I think we double down.
Yeah.
We double down.
Yeah, oh yeah, baby. We got the Swooper.
I'll buy sparklers next time.
Just have the sound of sparklers right into your ear.
I know. But he had a crazy Fireside Open bracket.
Tell me about it, baby.
Yeah, so I mean, we know he's been on the grind. Like he travels out to so many events, to so many nationals, and he sort of like, just like kind of like doesn't have that like top 100 win yet at like a national. Like he's had a few really great wins, like, and he's super strong in region. But I thought that like he just played so well this weekend, and it's just sort of reminded everyone like, dude, this guy is on the come up.
Well, what were he had 3 big wins, right?
Yeah, 3 big wins. So he did pools. He beat Bambi to make it out. Then he beats Lil Pastry. Round 1, winners round 1.
That's a good win. He's tough.
He's tough, yeah. And then, but really here the good ones is he 2-0'd Hacks, right? And then he actually, barely lost to Cody, or IBDW. It was a Game 5 set. He beat Cody on FD, so he actually had the advantage. And it was such a close set, Tragic, but he got the follow. Cody followed him after that. So
I feel like Cody would not have followed him if he had lost. Just a guess.
Yeah. And then he beats Zealous, reverse 3-0ing him, which was kind of crazy. Zealous playing Fox this whole set, but Zealous's Fox, low key, kind of crazy, beat Swedish's Puff, lost to Pudgy, then beats Big Kid in Vortex. So, don't sleep on him. Then he went up 2-0 against Swooper, and Swooper just kind of came back. And then Swooper settled at 4th, losing to J-Flex, his like old nemesis, But that's just a really crazy performance for Swooper, because like we all know, like within Tri-State, how good he is, right?
Right. Well, wait, just to reiterate, he beat Zealous's Fox, right? But he also beat Hacks, Vortex, and Big Kid, right?
No, Zealous beat Big Kid in Vortex. Swooper was sitting pretty in winner semis, in winner side top 8.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. But still really good. One shows how good he is in the Fox matchup, because we're really talking about his wins against Fox right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Swooper is terrifying.
Absolutely terrifying, like an absolute beast. And it's just, I don't know if he's going to Genesis at all, but like considering that everyone's going to be playing Ultimate, and I've thought about this too, dude. If I don't think he's going to play Ultimate, he's going to be training for Melee while everyone's kind of trying to figure out if you can up throw up air with freaking King K. Rool or someone like that.
Yeah, dude.
And
I want Swooper to stick with it. I also want to just do you want to hear the tournaments he went to in 2018?
yeah,
It's absurd.
Let's go for
Okay,
it.
so he went to Scorpius Regional in Long Island, got 13th. Genesis 5 got 97th. Smash Valley 7 got 25th. Full Bloom Floor 4 got 49th. Gemini 17th. Scarlet Classic 9th. Apollo 8 25th. Pound Underground 33rd. Gommel 49th. Frame Trap House 20. The last Frame Trap House 25th. That's not that amazing. But Smash and Splash 4 97th. Omega 2 33rd. Super Smash Con 65th. And Shine, another not so great placement, 129th. But if you hear just all the tournaments in there, how many majors is that? That's 5 majors.
Yeah, 5 majors.
No,
How many
6.
regionals though?
Hold on. 1,
6?
2, 3.
Can we count?
Yeah, we got Genesis, Full Bloom, Get on My Level, Smash and Splash, Super Smash Con, and Shine.
Damn, and that's without a sponsor.
He's just putting
That's
himself
dedication.
out there. So these are tournaments. These are not like East Coast tournaments either. And he's also making out to those. Scarlet Classic, Apollo, Pound Underground. Went to both Long Island tournaments. He's not from Long Island. He's from Jersey. So this guy is absolutely flying under the radar in terms of people noticing him. But he is good, and he's getting that valuable tournament experience that we talked about earlier. That I cannot imagine that's not going to develop into a breakout tournament soon.
Yeah, for sure. And I think he's just such a scary player. Like I remember playing him at the Columbia Monthly. Dude, he's so good. And let's see, I know he went also to the Columbia Monthly tournament. And I know he got second, beating Whiskers, trading with Whiskers. So Whiskers won in winners.
Mm-hmm.
Then he 3-0'd Whiskers in losers and Curb.
Nice.
And it's just, it was so dominant, and he's starting to find that sort of like consistency where he's consistently playing at such a high level, right? And getting those results that it's kind of crazy.
So yeah, Swooper, just want to say, big fan of yours, buddy. Me and Swooper have been friends for a bit, and he's a really great guy, really, really funny man to travel with. He's a top tier. If I see him at a major, I'm always smiling. So
yeah,
big shout outs to him.
Yeah. So yeah, that's our player shout out for the week.
Hell yeah, man. So let's just talk before we go. Let's talk about our plans for the week.
Yeah.
What goals do you set for yourself coming up?
Yeah, so I got a few, and I'm sort of just shotgunning it because I don't know what will stick, what will what I'll like,
Sure.
what will work, right? All all different things.
It's all
So
good.
one, as I said already, like going to tournaments more consistently. So I'm going to go to try to just do I'm doing the NYU local tomorrow. I'm gonna try to do it like any top player from a small region. Just I don't want to drop the least amount of games possible. I don't care where I get counterpick. I'm gonna try to win on it, and obviously that's the thing. But I really want to try to put as much pressure on myself in it, and also try different practice routines while I'm doing the tournament. I'm gonna be doing more meditation, more mindfulness exercises. Obviously, cooking for myself. So I'm gonna cook dinner right after this, and I'm also going to work out regularly. I think, yeah. So really, those are the big changes I want to keep on doing and add in. And obviously, as you mentioned, I want to start adding journaling in there as well.
Nice.
On top of that, just usual practice routine. Trying to practice every day. Try and watch one analysis a day. The usual stuff. So let's see whether I'll burn out, whether it will work. I'll kind of have more answers on that next week. But it's really just a exploration week for me.
Nice. I like that you have some real solid habit building goals. I think that's really where we should be right now. And I have similar ones for my week. I definitely want to practice Melee every day, even since Ultimate is coming out, and I actually want to see how it feels, kind of forcing myself to play Melee when I have this more exciting game right at my fingertips. Because
That's
I
gonna
do
be
want to
tough.
play both. I genuinely do want to keep this string along of Melee while developing a new game. I think it's entirely possible. I think,
It will help to rewire the brain too, like just to
yeah,
switch things up.
I think there are real benefits. So I think with this first week of Ultimate coming out, I want to be able to maintain discipline, not just kind of lean into the casualness that's so easy to do. I mean, look, I'm still probably gonna mess around with all the Ultimate back ends, like the event modes. I'm gonna do the single player. I'm gonna figure out what items are fun and the new Pokemon. Like I think I'm going to get silly with it because I think I'm going to a fest at Alex's. It started off with just me and him playing, but it's going to be a fest. And so I think there's part of me that really wants to just be like, oh my god, it's a Smash game, like I'm 5 years old again. But
Yeah.
I think if there's a goal for myself, it's let's just practice Melee every day, man. Before work, get up early, do your thing, get those hands on the sticks.
Yeah, dude, I like that. And it's I'm gonna be like, I really will want to know like what do you think of Ultimate and stuff like that, and hopefully I get my hands up on some Ultimate. Just hopefully a friend or someone. I know Gabe just recently got a Switch, so I'll be looking towards him.
Yeah, man. Keep on that Melee grind, and we'll see you.
We'll see in a week when we're both like, we're done with Melee. This is the best game I've ever touched.
That might be happening. Maybe we'll have to be SSBU wannabes next.
Hey, that's why we kept it general. SSB. It applies to all of them. We could be playing Project M for all they care.
Oh, she can't say that, dude. Shh.
Oh yeah, imagine we get banned
Nuke
from
the
iTunes.
VODs. Nuke the VODs.
Oh man. Anyway, that's all I got. So see you guys later.
Yeah, see you guys. Talk to you next week.
I left the call on accident. That's not what I wanted to do.
Oh.